Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bryan Greer. You're watching Game Brigade, and today we're talking about Final Girl Season 2 that just launched on Kickstarter this week. If you are looking for more information either on how the game works or whether this campaign might be a game for you, this video is for you. So make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the episode. Okay, so before we dive into the Kickstarter campaign, I will want to preface that we did just do a review on Final Girl, so if you haven't seen that review, I recommend watching it as well, because that'll give you my impressions of this game, and whether or not maybe this might be a good fit for you, because Final Girl does have some mechanics that I don't think everyone would enjoy in a wide scope, and this campaign is pulling in a lot of backers, so I want to make sure people are aware of that before they decide to back this project. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hit the campaign. Okay, so here we are on day one of the campaign. Oh, we just broke 4,000 backers right in front of us. Check that out. So anyways, day one, 22 days to go. Currently at 4,000 backers at $773,000. Their pledge goal was 100, so they have smashed that clearly by the first campaign. So as we go through this campaign, we want to answer a few questions. One, what is Final Girl going to be about? Two, is it going to be worth it for us to back this? And three, should we be waiting for a retail release? So Final Girl, the first season at least, and kind of continuing to obviously season 2, is a solo-only game. So that should be known right off the bat. This is a solo-only game. Now you can maybe play this cooperatively with a friend, but in the reality, the game is made for solo player. And in Final Girl, you are going to be basically reliving a horror movie or a slasher fic where you're going to be playing as the final girl against an ultimate villain. So in this, they have multiple different villains. Now, they're all tropes or cliches of famous movie villains that we've all known, and which is a kind of a cool part. And what really makes Final Girl interesting comparatively to a lot of other games is the complete type of modularity of the game components. So taking a look here at the screen, we can see all the different types of Final Girl boxes that are available. And each one of these boxes will include a Final Girl as well as a location and a villain. So what we're looking for when we can play this is you can combine a location from one Final Girl. I could play this person's final location with this girl's Final Girl versus this person's villain. You can mix and match, which creates a lot of different variable options and allows for immense amounts of replayability. Because every villain plays differently, every location requires different types of puzzles, and every Final Girl, while probably the least amount of variability in them, does have unique special abilities that you have to unlock to get there. So that is really the key thing that we're looking at here with Final Girl 2. So what is Final Girl Season 2, and should we be looking for, say, like the all-in, or what are we looking for? And here's an example. That's an incredibly blurry photo, but they're kind of saying like, oh, what if I want to play Campy Happy Trails now against Dr. Fright? You just take out that villain, and then you can swap out this if you want to swap out this location. It's that easy to be able to swap out your villain and your locations on the fly. So really good that they're putting this little GIF in there for that. So what we're looking at for Final Girl Season 2, though, is that there's going to be a whole new options for movies. And there's also going to be an option to combine them all for one large purchase. So here we have the core box. Now this is required for all Final Girl games. It's basically needed if you want to play the game. And inside that, you're going to have the rule book, you're going to have your health tokens, the dice that are needed, all of your meeples, which are also being replaced by minis, your action cards, this is what you use to play the game, and then your final health tokens. Now, we could talk about these action cards. I think that's kind of important because these action cards, now I can't zoom in for you really, but this is the core meat of the game, is a hand management game where you're going to be playing these cards from your hand and then buying them back with the time that you did not spend on that turn. So here on this board, we've got the player board. And you can see this little blue meter here. If you can't see it, there's a blue meter kind of going around like a clock. Every time you play a card will have an associated time cost with it normally. And so when you play those cards, it ticks down on the time. So the more cards you play in a turn, the more time you're taking in that turn, which means you're going to have less economy to spend to buy more cards on your following turn. So you're going to need to make sure you're managing the cards you play in your hand as well as the economy, and that's the meat of the game. And the complexity of the game will come from these dice that you're going to be rolling, where only 2 of the 6 sides are successes, 2 of the 6 sides are these semi-successes, and the other 2 are failures. So you're going to have to mitigate your dice play, and then either discarding cards to secure additional successes, or find other ways to try to generate more success. So that is really the meat of Final Girl and how this game plays. So let's take a look at the featurette films for Final Girl Season 2 and talk about maybe, are these any cooler? What do we think about them? The first one, and by far my favorite one, and there's a lot of good ones in Season 2, probably better than Season 1. Season 1 is more traditional slasher. I think Season 2 is more like homage to, like, I don't know, my movie buffness. So here we have Evil Morph on the USCSS Panta. Now, this is clearly Alien. We've got Ellen Ripley here, obviously, and I love the idea of what this is going to be bringing on. You're going to be having an alien sneaking around your ship, utilizing the vents to move around. On all the other monsters we have, you usually can know where the monster's at or the killer, so you can make your play and your decision making based on where he's at and what might best keep you away from him at any given moment. But this one, the monster is going to be hiding inside the vents, so it's going to be kind of an interesting gameplay aspect with that. Really like that. We obviously don't have the map right now, so we can't see what they're including on this, but we have an idea of what the monster is, as well as the 2 final girls included with it. Here with the Final Girls, you can see that they have, this is their starter side, and they have these 6 meeples and these 5 meeples. You have to rescue crew members, most likely, victims, in the map, and every time you cover one of these things up, you gain a reward, and once you've completed, they'll flip to their final side, which will include some sort of special ability, which will help you defeat your villain. Down here, this looks like a pretty standard set of cards for a villain. You've got the finale cards, we've got the dark power cards, we got the setup cards, which are telling us how to set up the game. We've got event cards, which is going to be variable changes to the game to make it more complicated and difficult for us, which is great. Ambush cards are new, so those are going to be something that's Season 2. Same with these evolution cards, and they might be specific to the featurette film as well. And then we have our action cards we talked about, and then a dark epic power card. Now, the Organism, Station 2891. This is obviously The Thing, or Who Goes There? The Thing, one of my favorite movies. Really, really good horror movie. If you haven't seen it, it's suspenseful, and this is trying to recreate that, where you don't know who is being assimilated by the organism. And so that one is another one that I'm really interested in. This one's included chart looks a little different, which I think is interesting. The organism chart is completely different than all the other monsters. The station's a little smaller, but we do have this helicopter board, which I'm kind of curious what that's going to be playing out. And then instead of like up here, when we look at these cards, we have the standard finale cards and dark power cards. We don't have that here on the organism. We just have the finale card, and then we have whatever these organism cards are going to be doing. So I'm curious how this one's going to play out. It's obviously already being designed different. And I thought it was also interesting, Yuki here only requires 4 saves before she unlocks her ultimate power, which is powerful. And then Kate, alternatively, only has 3 health. So Kate literally cannot take any kind of damage, or she will perish. And this would be, I see Kate very, obviously I don't know what these abilities do or what her special ability is. But this would be so hard to mitigate in the normal game, because Final Girl is not forgiving. The guys, the murderers, they hit like a truck. So here we have Wingard Cottage. Now, they're saying this is the Intruders, and I can't say for certain what this is basing off of, but I'm assuming this is based off of Cabin in the Woods. I would love to know if people think it's different, but reading this, talking about the knock at the door, I was like, man, this kind of reminds me of, I don't know, to me, kind of Cabin in the Woodsy. When we were looking at the minis, if these are the optional minis that were included, they kind of felt kind of Cabin in the Woodsy to me. So I'd like to get your guys' opinion on that one. I tried my best to try to identify what these movies could be referencing. And same with this next one, Big Bad Wolf. Is this referencing a movie, or is it just referencing the storybook Red Riding Hood? It might be just Red Riding Hood. I don't know. But definitely another cool fairy tale like one. And we don't actually have any fairy tale stories really in the original season. So this is kind of an interesting take, having just a purely fairy tale one. But again, standard stuff, nothing too different here to take a look at. The next one, Ratchet Lady, The Wolf Asylum. I really like the aesthetic that this one's providing. I love this look of the Wolf Asylum. And I'm thinking that this is some Silent Hill stuff, but I'm pretty sure, I asked my wife about this, if I was right on this, Ratchet Lady, that might be from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So I love to know what you guys think. Is that what this is based off of? I don't know. But that's what I could think of. But definitely looks like a Silent Hill to me. This looks like Silent Hill. So anyways, again, same thing. All of this looks fairly standard, which is great. You have some side effect cards, which are interesting. And because this is an asylum, maybe you're being affected by some gas, or maybe you're being injected with something. I don't know. But that might make it more difficult for you. And then you've got these amped cards, which are also new, which I think is interesting. So those are that. And then we have, obviously, the Series 1 films down here. We talked about this in the last time we did a Kickstarter review of Final Girl. That was a long time ago. In fact, I think that was my first video, was talking about Final Girl. But we did these. My favorite is currently The Haunting on Greech Manor. I really like Camp Happy Trails. And I haven't done these three. So I've only played these two. And I'm still trying to win. I haven't won them yet. So I'm going to grind out the lore book now, going in order. So we're going to start back on Happy Trails. I've got it set up right behind me to keep grinding that out. And then we'll go from there. So this kind of talks about the gameplay. But we've already kind of talked mostly about the gameplay. But the idea of the gameplay of this game, you're going to be playing these cards. You roll to see what effect happens, and you take your action from there. You can select items by finding them in certain locations to enhance your Final Girl, and then from there you just have a brawl to the death with the final killer, and it is a brutal game. I'll tell you right now, the game is not easy at all. This is an optional buy. They're going to be getting to the optional buys, and then we're going to talk about shipping and stretch goals coming up. The game mat, I have the Season 1 play mat, and I enjoy it. I think it does help organize the play, because Final Girl is an expansive game. It's big, it's large, like on the board, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So being able to have dedicated slots that tells you this is where things are going to go does help keep things manageable, but it does take up a lot of real estate. Now, this is the Season 2 featurette film, which they have modified for the Season 2 featurette, which is a little annoying for being an owner of Season 1, because now it's like, well, do I need to buy the Season 2 playmat to get some of these additional changes? And what are those changes? Well, the first thing is they've slid everything up here on the top board, the killer board and the location board. They've slid everything over to the right to make room for these featurette film card sections. But by doing that, they had to shift this down. So this section has been shifted down, which means our time chart here is a little smaller, and everything's kind of crunched a little bit more on the player board side. But on top of that, the killer board has added these 3 sections here, and it looks like it says Vignette Finale, Vignette Dark Power, Vignette Blood. So it's all Vignette, the vignette stuff. So something to be aware of. I personally am not going to buy the Season 2 playmat. It's just annoying that, they've redesigned it so quickly. But if you are a person who is looking for one, I personally say I would recommend it. Now, obviously, I have not played the Season 2. It looks a little cramped for me compared to the Season 1. So take that for what it is. They're also be including miniatures. These are optional buys. I have the miniatures for the villains and the final girls. And while I do think they are cool, I don't necessarily think they are needed, and I want to be very upfront about that because at the moment, everything else are meeples. So you've got your victim meeples, and you've got these hearts. I mean, they're changing some of this stuff. And you got your special character meeples. So that means only thing right now, at least on the board in terms of minis, are the final girls and the killer. Well, everything else is wood. And I really don't look at the meeples personally and feel like I'm being drawn out of the experience. And I don't necessarily think it would have happened with these being meeples as well. I do have the minis though for season 1, so most likely I'm going to purchase the meeples for season 2. That way I have everything kind of, together, and it makes more sense for me logistically. But I just want to make sure people who are diving into this for the first time, I don't necessarily think you have to get the meeples. Check your budget, make sure it fits within your needs. The second thing that's going to be completely new, and this is new for both Season 1 and Season 2, are the vehicle miniatures. So these are going to be more miniatures replacing standard tokens to make the game a little bit more thematic. And to show you what they're referring to is right here, these miscellaneous tokens. These are tokens that might be like a bear trap or a boat or, an example, a helicopter or maybe a snowplow. These are tokens that are going to be reflected by either events or items you find. Maybe you find the car keys or something. And that's what these are going to be for. They're not going to be used in every game because you have to usually find a corresponding... Let me scroll back up to it. Jeez. Where'd it go? You have to find a corresponding item generally that relates to it, so it's not always going to be used in every game. And I don't necessarily think, again, that these are necessarily needed for the gameplay. So really ask yourself, how much are you wanting to invest in this game? Because it's already an expansive game and it's getting expensive. And they're already talking about Season 3. So how much more are we going to want to commit to this? Check yourself. I just want to make sure people are aware to always check themselves before fully committing. And then we've got the deluxe storage boxes. So right now they're showing Season 1 and Series 2, but they are potentially changing the art on this. So right now we've got Hans and we've got the Necromorph, but this potentially could change. And these are basically just slip covers where you're going to slip your movies into there, and it's going to have a box for the playmat to fit as well into a single Kallax shelf. So that could be good if you're looking for it. This is kind of how I store my games. But it looks like it wants this one to be stored in almost like, I don't know what the term is, like this. Instead of like this, more like this. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just being weird, just doing hand signals, trying to see if you guys understand what I'm talking about. So let's scroll on down. So this is what my board shelf looks like. It's actually, you can't really see it. It's just right here. They're laid out like this, and I have the playmat backs on top, actually just like this. But they're adding more because, unfortunately, my playmat box is bigger. And that's so they're adding the cast and crew box, and they're adding this bonus featurette box to kind of make this fit. The cast and crew box is going to be a replacement solution for the minis for the final girls. The minis for the villains fit inside these boxes, so the individual minis for whatever alien will fit in those boxes. But the final girls fit inside the core box right now. But because we're adding a Season 2 and you're only going to need one core box, adding more final girls is not going to work because it's already at max capacity. So this is a solution they came up with to have the final girl cast and crew. So you will stick your final girls in here, and that should hopefully solve that problem. I'm a little annoyed because they have a solution for the vignette that came with Season 1. And there was no storage solution for us in the first Kickstarter of where to put it. So I think I put it in one of the random boxes. And I told myself, hopefully I remember which one this is, or I'm just going to forget where it is. So this is, and I'm pretty sure I threw away this box just because you had to make room for it somewhere. So unfortunately that sucks for me. Hopefully other people didn't throw that away. And then we've got the bonus feature box as well. And so this is going to be for more items that you can include in your game. So that's all going to be included with this this large storage box, if that's what you're looking for, an all-in-one storage solution. Again, it's still just a large sleeve. And then we've got our unlocks here, or then we got the pledge levels. So let's talk about that. I really wish they would have done the they put the stretch goals way down here at the bottom. The stretch goals look like we're getting some good stuff, mostly gameplay related. Some of the stuff is cosmetics, like the deluxe final health tokens. The secret envelopes were hidden underneath. Inside each movie box, there's a little envelope, and all they are unique items for each final girl. So it's like they're specific to them weapon, or what these envelopes are. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I don't know. It's important for people to know what they're buying into. And then you have your epic finale cards. These were in there they're more difficult finales that you can hit, and they don't recommend playing with these if you are new to the game. And so you shuffle them out when you're new, and then you shuffle them in when you're good, and you can go from there. And then some of the stuff is just kind of, this deluxe Bloodmouse token. I really don't think we need that, but whatever. And this is that final custom art box that we were talking about. So let's talk about pledge levels and see what maybe we want to talk about in terms of pledging. So a la carte, if you are looking a la carte, I would say maybe if you're a season 1 owner and you're like, well, I only want 3 of the boxes, yeah, a la carte might be the way. But depends again on how far you're going to go, because the featurette films here for all of them, we're looking at $90. I think that's roughly close to what I paid. For the original Kickstarter, I think it was $130, but that included the playmat. So it looks like things are a little bit more expensive this year, because this looks like the $160 plus shipping for the season 1 franchise and $160 for the season 2 franchise. So that's playmat, minis. Yeah, this is basically what I got right here for season 1, and I'm pretty sure it was a little cheaper than this. Unfortunately, shipping costs have gone up and manufacturing costs have gone up over time. If you are looking to fully deck out your game, you can get the full franchise, $300. This is where I was telling people, like, you really got to make sure that this game is for you, because it's an expensive solo experience. It's a great game, and it's also one I wish you could experience with friends, because it's such a good game, but it's solo. So it's something you're only going to experience in yourself. And so do you really need everything? Make sure you're asking yourself that. The Epic All-In includes everything released. I think this does include the Paula Deming add-on. I'm not quite sure. There's a Paula Deming add-on down here for $5 from Watch It Played. I can't remember if the All-In over here includes everything. It says includes everything. I can't remember exactly if it did or not. So if my recommendation, 1, I'll tell you right now, the Final Girl, since it's been released on Kickstarter, which has been several months now, has been very hard to find anywhere retail-wise, and sold out very fast at all the Gen Cons and Origins and whatnot. So they were pretty much sold out. Their website sold out. It's hard to find it. So the only way you're going to get this right now is by paying premium through third-party markets or going through Kickstarter. The Kickstarter campaign, now you have to decide how much are you going to want. I can't make the full decision for you. That's not what I'm here for. But I just want to make sure people are aware of the total costs of what they're looking for. I do think the game is an incredible game. I've mentioned this multiple times. I just want to make sure people are aware of the overall costs. And then with the overall costs, we're looking at the shipping costs down here as well. Mostly we're going to be looking at this $25 to $40 price range, depending on what you're going to be getting. So it's going to be between that $25 and $40 price range for shipping. So you're going to add that on top of your current pricing. If you are part of the UK EU, they are charging VAT based on your specific location. So that's going to be an additional upcharge for you guys. So make sure you budget for that as well. And then the final thing we have here are the add-ons. So this might be something, if you're doing a la carte, or maybe you're doing season 2 only and adding things on, this might be a consideration. But again, this is actually a good way to kind of see some of the individual costs. Are the miniatures worth $20 for each? So $40 total. The vehicle pack, items that you're only going to see very little of, $10. Same thing with this one here. The lore book, I actually love the lore book, and it's a shame that's only for season 1, the $5. The lore book basically gives you preset scenarios and a story for you to play through, which I think is great, and it's for each villain. So you'll choose a villain, and he's got his whole story that you're going to be playing through. The mystery box, this was what was the mystery box? The Necronomicon. That was 2 dice that you could roll, and it'll basically tell you what you should play. So if you're like, I don't know which one I want to play today, you roll it and it'll tell you what to play. Who knows what this one's going to be? And then I did not buy these, so I don't know what those are. The storage box, we talked about that. The mat. So here's the play mats. As you can see, as I was saying, they shifted some of the stuff around. I like the season 1 playmat right now, although I don't necessarily know how important the vignette section here is for the season 2. But it felt like this had more room than this one does. And the Terror from Above was just a special little add-on from season 1. I have not played it. And the Paula Deming card is just a promo if you want to support Watch It Played and have Paula Deming as a character. That's it. So we're going to go wrap this up. This was a long episode. I feel like I rambled a lot and covered a lot of things. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I hope it was. It's been a while since we've done a Kickstarter coverage of a game. And so we got to get back into the groove again, get back those juices, make sure things are flowing well. I want to thank everyone who's been joining the channel, subscribing, joining the community. Remember, our goal is 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So we're on our way there. Hopefully we can still hit it. If you want to join the community, if you are new to this, click subscribe. Always remember to hit the thumbs up button. It helps the YouTube algorithm and truly shows me how much you guys care about the show. Otherwise, this is Brian from Game Brigade. I will talk to you all very soon.